Well, on behalf of the Hispanic Leaders Network, I want to welcome you to today's luncheon. My name is Dr. Crystal Diaz Espinosa, and I'm part of the Hispanic Leaders Network. The Hispanic Leaders Network is a group of passionate leaders who are deeply vested in supporting current and future leaders in the greater Waco community. Our vision is to develop and empower current and future leaders to make a difference in the community. Our mission is to provide personal, cultural, and professional opportunities to inspire Hispanic leaders to serve and make a positive impact. We have a great program for you today, a heartfelt conversation with Baylor head football coach Dave Aranda. First, I'd like to welcome Andre Chapa to give the invocation.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Hispanic Leaders Network, I'd just like to thank y'all for this opportunity. I was asking kind of, hey God, what do you want me to say? They gave me a mic. So I just wanted to share this. We're all leaders in here. We're all called to lead in some form, whether it's your family, whether it's your business, whether it's what you're over, who you lead. And I just wanted to share out of one of the leaders in the Bible. It's out of Joshua 1:5-9. It says, no one will be able to. Oh no, Joshua, don't talk. Hold up. That was God talking. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give to them. Be strong, very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave to you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of law always on your lips. Meditate on it day or night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you all everywhere you go. And so that's a blessing that we can take with us, that no matter what you face, where you're leading or where you're going, God is always with you. And there's one part in there, he says, I will be with you as I was with Moses. So I'm not going to do the same thing that I did with Moses with you. So it's going to look different. He says, don't look to the left, don't look to the right. Success doesn't look like it looks for them. It looks different because it looks like that for you. And so just wanted to encourage all that, whatever it is that you're leading, it's going to look different. It's going to taste different. It's going to sound different. But be encouraged that God is with you to wherever that you lead, he'll see you through it. Let's pray. So Father, we just thank you for this day. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to be here. God, I'm just reminded of everything, Lord, and I'm just thankful to stand here. And so God, I just ask today that you bless this time, that your Holy Spirit be here, that you fill the room. Father, bless this food that we receive, Lord. And God, I ask that you bless all the leaders here, Lord, that you continue to speak to them, to lead them, to guide them with clarity and discernment and all that you call them to do. Father, be with Coach. Father, thank you for him. Thank you for what he's doing, God. And I just ask that you continue to strengthen him in all that he's called to do. And so, Father, we give you thanks, we give you honor, and we give you glory in all that we do. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. And everyone says, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa. Without great partners and sponsors, the Hispanic Leaders Network could not host events such as the one today. We are very thankful to Ascension Providence Hospital for sponsoring today's luncheon. Let's show them our appreciation and welcome Kevin Stevenson, Director of Strategic Operations, to say a few words on behalf of Ascension Providence Hospital.
Bienvenidos. You just got about the extent of my Spanish. I was telling Alfred earlier, I said, obviously I'm really good with food words, but anything else, it's a little difficult. Welcome to Providence. We are so happy that you're here. And congratulations for being in a leadership program. I've been blessed to have been in 3 different ones in 3 cities that I've been in, and have learned so much in each and every one of them. And yeah, it's really interesting when you're in a leadership program in your hometown, you think, oh, I know everything. It's amazing what you don't know about your hometown, right? And so you just drink that in and really enjoy that. So I bring greetings also from our president, Philip Patterson. He's out of the state, but he was so excited that you are all here as well. A little bit about Providence. I think you probably know some of it. Back in the early 1900s, a group of business leaders like you knew that Waco needed a hospital. They needed some place to care for those who needed care. So they approached the Daughters of Charity. And then in 1905, Providence was founded as the first hospital in Waco. And so for 118 years, we've been providing that care for the people of Waco and now greater Central Texas. We have a primary service area of about 8 to 9 counties. And so, you see what we do here locally in Waco, but the communities around us, like as far as Hamilton or Corsicana or Fairfield, they trust us with their care as well. And so we don't take that for granted. And so while we're the first hospital in Waco, we have a lot of other firsts too. We did the first open heart surgery about 50 years ago here. I had the first cath lab, so the cath lab procedures here, and many others. And we do that because that's what we're called to do. As a part of the healing ministry of Jesus, we're called to provide health care to all of our community. And so we make extra special efforts to really work and help those who may not be on the forefront of the communities. And so we really go out and we look to opportunities to serve each and every person here in Waco and Central Texas. And so with that, I don't want to take up any more time because I'm afraid you may ask me to say more words in Spanish, and that would be embarrassing for me and definitely for you. So without further ado, thank you again for being here. We're so happy you're here. If you have any questions, please let me know. Robin's going to be here as well. And welcome and enjoy your day.
Now I would like to invite Hector Sabido, host of HLN's Orgullo Hispano video podcast, to introduce our special guest for today.
Well, it is truly an honor and a privilege to introduce and to be with our honored guest today. A 2020 national champion and 26-year coaching veteran, Dave Aranda was named the 28th head coach in Baylor football history on January 16, 2020. In just his second season in Waco, Aranda led Baylor to a third Big 12 championship and the biggest bowl win in program history, a 21-7 Sugar Bowl victory over Ole Miss. Yeah. The win was Baylor's first BCS New Year's Six Bowl win in the modern era. The Bears also won 12 games for the first time in program history, despite being picked to finish 8th in the Big 12's preseason media poll. BU finished the season ranked number 5 nationally, the highest final ranking in program history. After he graduated from Redlands High School in California in 1994, numerous surgeries followed and ended up with his playing career. In 1995, he started his coaching resume in Redlands as an assistant coach. Aranda graduated from California Lutheran in 1999 with a bachelor's degree in philosophy. In 2002, he earned his master's degree in interdisciplinary studies at Texas Tech. Aranda and his wife, Dion, have 2 daughters, Jalen and Jordan, and a son, Ronan. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Coach Dave Aranda.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. How are you today, Coach?
Doing really good. I'm blessed to be here with you all. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you so much. It is truly an honor as we are celebrating and kicking off really Hispanic Heritage Month. So the Hispanic Leaders Network was picked by TFNB Bank as a charity champion a few months ago. And so we had the opportunity to go on the field as they do normally. And that day you spoke to us and you told us, if there's anything I can ever do for you, let us know. That's probably the biggest sentence he ever regretted telling us. But in all seriousness, a man of your word, we reached out to his office and says, hey, we would love for him to be our guest speaker at the September luncheon. And without hesitation, he agreed. So thank you so much for being here. Yes. But Coach, this is really just a Q&A. I want the audience to really know you. We see the machine that you are on the field, but we want to see your background and your
Awesome.
history. So, Coach, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your family,
Okay.
your upbringing, your background, things of that maybe we don't know.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So my dad and my mom. My dad was Paul, named Paul. My mom was Marguerite, Maggie. And so I was born in Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield's like Texas, right in the middle of California. And both my mom's family and my dad's family at the time were all in Bakersfield. And when I was growing up, I had my brother Michael, who was younger than me, and we had like Sunday family dinners. I remember ribs and spaghetti and just all the Sandovals. My mom's side of the family was kind of prominent there, and we would all be at the house, and there'd be just all these cousins, and the clothes I would have would be my cousin's old clothes, and I don't remember like much TV, or I just remember grandmas and grandpas and uncles and cousins and just all of it. Like when we would kind of come to a house, like it would be a group like this, and we took over.
This was family, right?
Yeah, and so from there we went to Redlands, California, which is down Southern California. So it's Inland Empire, there's Ontario, Upland, Riverside, Fontana. It's kind of in the valley, so it's about an hour of outside of LA, and it's in between the mountains, so there's smog and stuff there. It gets hot, but it's funny, I think I was telling you guys whenever I go home, and I'll go to Dallas to leave to go home, and just the airport, whether it's Love Field or DFW, if I'm going to Ontario, like that's where all the brown people are at. That's when I'm at the airport. I don't know if there's a better way to say it. I don't want to be rude, but when I'm walking through, I just notice that, and then that's where I'm leaving too. That's my gate, and so it's. I remember when I was growing up. I remember I was listening to a bunch of like oldie music. We would be, my uncles and my cousins there in Redlands. We'd be at the park all the time, and there would be like stylistics and just I remember just the music. I still listen to it now. We have a player now, Garmin Randolph, and I run on treadmill and stuff. He goes, Coach, what do you listen to when you run? And he goes, is it oldies music? Is it like the 90s? And I listen to like the 60s and the 50s music. So he didn't know what that was. So I had to play some of it for him. Yeah. And so that's all from just growing up in Redlands, just being at the park all day long. And so in Redlands, my grandmothers there would come and they would make tortillas at my house, and we would have it all for all the relatives, and they'd make menudo there, and we had like our own little kitchen going. That was when I spoke Spanish during that time, and so it wasn't. My grandmother eventually passed, and so she made everyone in the house speak Spanish. And when she passed, then the Spanish stopped, and so I lost it. And so, during those times, it's crazy because I think of it now, and my kids, family-wise, were just nowhere near connected as we were when I was growing up. And so it's just completely different. My father just passed, so I went back home to see him prior to him passing, and just seeing all the family and all the relatives and everything, and they kind of got a glimpse of like what happens when everyone gets together, and that's what it was for me growing up. For them, it was the first time, and so just the difference in generations is just crazy how fast it changes. Yeah.
And I think that's funny that you say that, because I think many of us can relate to that, growing up very close knit with not only our immediate family but our extended family and the neighborhood. And then I think we definitely have seen that transition over the years, where it's more isolated, I guess you could say. And so we're losing that. But I think it's also important that we have this, so we are learning from those that have gone before us, that don't lose who you are and your roots. I think that's an important thing as well.
Mhm.
So in that, Coach, I would say, tell us, so what does being, as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month,
Yeah.
what does being Hispanic mean to you, and how has that shaped the outstanding leader that you are today?
No, I appreciate that. My father was an orange picker when he was growing up, and
And your father was from Mexico,
Mhm.
correct?
so he was an orange picker growing up, and he got a bunch of degrees, master's degrees. I think I still feel that with him. With me, I very much felt it with him that he wanted to prove, he wanted to be better, he wanted to belong. And so the drive, the work ethic to do that. And so, so that I feel when I think of being Hispanic. I also think of like being in between. I might have still said this story too, where I don't speak Spanish, and there was a Nike coaching clinic, and it was in Mexico. It was in Tulum. It was a beautiful space, and we had guards the whole time because I think that's a little unsafe, I guess, to go too far. And so, everyone that was there working at the hotel were excited when they saw the name, and you could tell they were expecting to have a conversation in Spanish with me. And then when I knew it was coming, so I could see that here's someone who's excited to speak Spanish, and I'm like, it would be such a disappointment to all these people. And so when I would get up close to them and they would start, and I'd go, no. And they'd say, it's okay. But that happened like twice a day when I was over there. But I think that kind of sums up, though, kind of being in between. You can't be all of that, and then you're never all of this. So you're in between. So I'd say those two things. I see the drive to prove and to fit in, and to make this your own, and then being kind of lost in between is the other thing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, and the reason I've asked that is because many of us in this room are in positions where we are like you, the only Latino or one of the few Latinos of the profession. And probably have had many experiences like you've encountered throughout your professional career. Tell us more about the responsibilities and pressures that come with being the only Latino or one of the few Latinos, and how do you manage that responsibility or those stresses?
No, I appreciate that. Another story would be our kicker got married, and his wedding was in Corpus Christi, and so my wife and I were invited to go. And so we go, and it's on a Saturday, and we get there on a Friday to kind of get situated and all of it. And it's right by, the hotel we're staying is right by the Selena thing and the water and everything. And so we go out and we walk, and I remember, I remember walking and stopping because there was a Mexican man in a suit, and he had a tie, and he was like a businessman, and he's walking by, and I'm like, and then I keep walking, and then there's more, and I don't mean to be like, insensitive or rude or anything, but I had not seen that.
Sure, absolutely.
I can't tell you, since I was living in Redlands was the last time that I've seen that.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to make a big deal to Dion about it, and she wants to go see the Selena thing. And it's like, she didn't get it, she didn't understand.
She had a goal in mind.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't know, I guess so, just that story, it brings up just how when you see people that look like you, and this would be dressing successful, I guess, or just business things that are on their way to, when you don't see that, and then you do see it, it's a shock.
Sure.
The other thing that comes to mind with this would be Mel Tucker, and Mel's in the news in a way unfortunate time right now. He's the head coach at Michigan State. So when I was at LSU, there was a time where I think it was the NCAA had like a minority, assistant coaches that want to be head coaches, and it was like a 2-day kind of clinic thing. I went to it, and Manny Diaz went, and Mel Tucker went. Manny is he's got Cuban heritage and everything, and his dad, I think, was a mayor there in Florida. And so these are guys that are minority guys that want to be head coaches, and so it's kind of all that. And so I got to know Mel a little bit, and so Mel had a great year, similar to our year in 21, and had a 10-year contract and all this money, and he's in the news right now for just bad things, and it's just sad. But I think, when you are in the forefront as a leader, it's just not about you. It's about you're blazing the trail for everyone to come behind you. And so it's just so much more that you're responsible for and so much more that you're representing. And so whether all of that is true or any of it, it's just, you just hate to see it because you want to see people of color kind of push through. And it just seems like it's always hard to do, And so I'd say those two things. I think the other thing with it would be to manage it is to take time, and whether that's like quiet time or praying, or I think you have to do that. There was a verse in the Bible I was reading today. One of our chaplains at school, we do like a Lectio Divina, and we kind of go through it. And this was Mark. This is a chapter in Mark, is 1:16, I think, and it was like Jesus heals the many, and so he says that and then Mark says in this passage, everybody in the town is coming to where Jesus is. So like everyone's got something, right? Everyone's dealing with something, and he's healing all the demons the way it says it, and then it said the very next morning, early in the morning, he had to get away to go pray, and I think like that's the rejuvenation. That's hard to do. I think when you're out front and there's all the eyes on you and just the expectations and just the standards, and you feel the weight of it for sure. Because you're human,
right?
I think the ability to get away and pray and to be with and to be silent means a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We are gonna let Coach get some water real quick because I know he's been answering. But also on your table, there are some questions or question cards. If you want to ask a question to Coach at the end, please feel free to write your question down, and then you can give it to Elaine, who's right here in the front, or Crystal. And they'll go around and pick it up. But Coach, thank you so much. We are going to move now to you as a coach, because there is a quote that you commonly use that we love. And we want to know where this is inspired from, this is coming from. But it says, one of your commonly used quotes is, to get where you're going, you have to start where you're at.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, be fierce with reality. Yeah, I think a lot of times people aren't. I think you've got your own perception and your own biases and your ego, I think, is really what it is. I was talking to the team yesterday, actually, and so Phil Jackson's a favorite coach of mine. He's coached the Bulls and the Lakers. And then there's a coach that worked for him, and his name was Tex Winter. And Tex Winter was kind of a basketball guru person, and he came up with the triangle offense. And so it was an offense based upon, if it's you and me and you, and then we form in this triangle, and of us three, if whoever's open, that's who's going to get the ball, and you take the shot. And if you're double covered, then I'm open, I take the shot, and then we're always kind of moving and creating new triangles. So he had two terms here. He had a line of truth. So the line of truth is reality. And so when the ball carrier comes up to a point, near the rim, at the 3-point line, and they're setting up offense and defense, the line of truth is, where are the offenders at? Where are the defenders? Like, what's the reality? And then the second thing is the moment of truth. So the moment of truth is, I'm going to make the right decision. So all of this was like, hey, MJ's going to be, I don't care about who's covering anyone. I'm gonna take the shot. And so this was like, hey, we're all spaced out. Everyone see where everything is. Yep, I see it. Okay, this is what it is. Then the moment of truth is, I'm gonna make the right decision now.
Right.
And so I just think like those two things right there very rarely get done.
Wow.
And so I think there's a great poem called The Wood Carver, and it's by Shang Tzu, and it talks about how this guy was just a great wood carver and was renowned, and a king asked him how he was able to do all these wood carvings, and it basically says that he fasted and he went into the woods, and what went away was like all thought of praise and criticism, all thought of being enamored by the king, all thought of I've done some great carving, so this one needs to be another great carving. All that stuff went away, and then what he saw eventually in the wood was the statue or the carving, and he was fierce with reality now.
Wow.
And he could make it, And so I think all of that's hard, especially when stuff on the outside gets on the inside. And so, yeah, it's a big one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to switch out your mic real quick, because I think
Okay.
it's given now. Thank you, Rob. Yeah.
Thank you.
But speaking in quotes and themes, you have named a theme this year, person over player,
Yes.
which I love. Expand on that for us, please.
Yeah, I've been in places before. I imagine you guys have too, to where it's just, I think, the world as it is a transactional world. The world as it should be love and grace. So how do you live in both worlds at the same time? And so that's hard. I think, if you were to build a bridge from, if you're to try to connect the two, like how do you live in both worlds?
Mm-hmm.
Then if you were to come from, the world as it is like power, success, ego, kind of all,
Right.
all of that. The world as it should be would be, empathy, love, I see you, right? All that. If you're getting stuff done and it's coming from power and all of it, why would you ever leave that for something else if you're already getting the results that you want?
Right.
Now, the wake as a result of that, or the destruction as a result of that, is another story, right? But I think if you can come from love and try to build a bridge to get to, if you come from love to power, so that, there's certain people that don't want power, that don't crave it and don't value it, and those are generally the best people, I think, to have power. And so I just think, when you come across, you understand the destruction that can come from it, and you use it in such a way that it's judicial and it's not a weapon. And so that is kind of a big picture way of saying, like, person over player for me means, right, you're coming from value, as opposed to I just got to do these things to be valued by you.
Sure.
Yeah. And so when you come from value, you can put yourself out there, because much like the family we talked about, you're backed up. Everyone knows you, they know what you're working through, and they're trying to help you along. When it's a transactional thing, then what happens is people only recognize you when you do good. And if you're struggling through something, they don't even see the struggle. And then when you do something bad, it's like, well, I thought this was like this anyway, all the time anyways. And I was just waiting for this to happen. And so, yeah.
But what I'm thinking, like in my mind, what a lasting impression that you're leaving these young men that you're coaching and mentoring, and I would assume in many cases fathering, the lasting impression that you're leaving on them, so they can become that man, that guy, to those that are, once again, that are coming up behind them as well. And so for you to even instill that in them, that's you as a person is more important to me than you as a player, how powerful that is.
Yeah, the person drives the player, and so the stronger the character of the person, the stronger the play of the player, And it's like, I would think like if you know yourself, if you and then this is very hard. I think like for leaders, part of it goes like, hey, leadership's all about you, but it's a paradox because it's all about serving others, and so it's like where does that, you have to find that, and you kind of have to know the things with you that are just non-negotiable. And these are me. These are my values. I think if everyone wore their values on their shirt, it'd be so much easier.
Right.
You could just see it and just speak truth to it.
Wow.
And just understand where people are coming from so much better. But if you know yourself, then what that allows you to do is be yourself. And so, I think some of the struggle with our young people is whether, it could be just the pushing of a brand, or it could be just the on your phone, the quick hits, whereas, you get to where it's acceptable, or it's a goal to be somebody in this room, and then you walk out of here and you're somebody else in that room, and then you walk to the parking lot, you're somebody else in the parking lot, and then so there's a constant kind of evaluating, judging of what I need to be to get myself out of the situation or get the most out of what's possible in the specific situation. The opposite of that would be it's the same Dave in every place. And there's different parts to me, but those values show.
That's right.
And so, that's hard to do when that's not even been described as a thing, So if you know yourself, you can be yourself, then any type of like work you do could be an expression of yourself. And so this would not be like I don't know, like a me versus you thing. This would be, this is me, right? This is
who I am.
This is a self-discovery. This is a creative thing, just way cool, And then if it's all like that, then you can check yourself, which would be the last thing, because there's some self-awareness of who you are. And so if you're out of line, you can have some awareness of it to bring you. It's hard to check yourself when you don't know who you are, And so, I think to know yourself, to be yourself, to express yourself and check yourself is part of the personal repair. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, if it's okay with you, we're going to take some questions from the audience, okay?
Yeah.
The first question is from Clarissa in the audience. How do you see representation model it in your team or your coworkers? So how do you see representation or model it to your team and your coworkers?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, I will talk about family traditions growing up. I will talk about, if there's examples of whether it's, the culture that I'm from, or it's maybe it's another culture, I'll make sure to integrate it and talk about it. And we have, so we'll have, there won't be tables like this, but we'll have groups like this, and so then we'll have questions, and guys will kind of get together and talk through the questions, and then I'll call on a few, and then to kind of get their ideas about it. So I think the discussion of it helps kind of bring it to where it should be, And so I think the awareness, and then the normalizing of talking about people's different cultures and all of it is way important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have another question from Josie in the audience. Share a leadership lesson that continues to impact your success.
I got you. Okay.
That's a great question.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I think you have to go down before you go up. I feel like there's something about, I think, Moses came out with the 10 Commandments, and then he threw them down and broke them, and he had to write them again. There's something about, like, I can know this stuff, but you got to kind of break, and then you really know the stuff. There's something about that. I wish it wasn't that way.
We all do, trust
Yeah,
me.
it'd be so much easier if it wasn't that way. Yeah, but I think, we have these professors that come to the games, and so there's on Friday they go to our walkthrough, and then they come to meal with the team on Friday night, and this one particular professor was at Baylor and is a in recreation sport and is a Christian and everything. And I asked him, where do you see sport and Christianity? How does that intersect? Like and he had a really good answer, and he asked what mine was, and I said suffering. I just said, like, you can do all the things and do all the right stuff and still not get it, and then what? And so it's just like, who you become as a result of it is the most important thing, and that can get lost. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and also one of the questions that has been frequently asked, and I'll ask it because a few people asked this, like, as a Baylor football coach, there has to be a lot of stress. We assume. What do you do with your family to unwind? How do you do, and you chat a little bit about like these, how do you de-stress? But you personally, what are some things that you do with your family to put football aside, put Baylor aside, put all these expectations aside, and just be dad and husband?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, so this gets a little bit harder when the kids are older and they have phones and they read stuff. So it gets harder. When they were younger, it was much easier.
Sure.
And because they didn't know, yeah. And so my wife Dion and I would kind of, she's very, I think her and I make a complete person. So she would not need a microphone if she was here. And so with her, she'll usually have opinions, and so I'll listen to her opinions. And
Coach, I think that's just called Baylor.
yes, I know. So I listen to her opinions, and then after that, it's kind of like that part's done and it's out. And then, when the kids were younger, we could kind of do our thing and watch movies. We like to watch movies a lot, and then or we'll play games and stuff. So we'll do that, like something family-wise, which is nothing with ball. And so one of it's a little bit unspoken is if we lose, and there's been too much of that lately, but we won't have football on, but if we win, then we'll still play the games and do all the stuff, but the football will be on in the background. And it's kind of weird how that goes, but I think like now that the kids are older, it's a little bit harder. And so we have like these family dinners on, so all of our staff, the families come over and they'll meet, the coaches will work long hours on Sundays and all of it, so their kids and everything. We have a bunch of young coaches with a bunch of kids. We've got, I don't know how many, but there's little kids running up and down everywhere on Sundays. Pretty cool. And so I wanted my kids to come, but my son goes, Ronan, he goes, Dad, I'm not going to come till you win. You got to win. I'm going to come. So I'm like, this is not happening before. So I guess.
Your biggest critic, huh?
Yeah. So part of it.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
That's too funny. Well, here's some fun questions, okay? So hopefully, who has better Mexican food, Texas or California?
California.
Okay. You notice he's not looking at you guys. So what?
Yeah, it's very different.
Yep.
It's very different. And so when you come, so when my family comes, there's a couple places that they'll eat, and they'll all say good things, and then later at night, I'll ask them, what'd you really think? And then they tell me. And so, but it's just not what they're used to. It's just very different. Yeah.
Who has the best tamales in Waco?
Oh, jeez, that's a good one. I've gotten so many gifts from our neighbors. They're giving me tamales. So I might have to be able to say that. And so I think there was an interview I had where I talked about tamales, and so I get a fair amount of tamales at my doorstep, and so I've been able to sample quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's why you get on the treadmill.
That's right.
Here's a question from our friend Alfred in the back. Why philosophy? Why did you major in philosophy?
I really didn't want to. I was so shocked that that was the case. You know, when you are younger, you want to be like, I don't know, I want to be like G.I. Joe, or I remember I'd watch like the WWF and like the, what is it, like the Ultimate Warrior, and I want to be like those people, not like reading books and stuff, you know? And so it wasn't something that kind of I chose. I remember there's a professor that I had at Cal Lutheran, and his name was William Bearsley, and he lived like in a van out in Cambria on the beach. And it was just all the things that you would think, but it was just so cool. I remember The Matrix just came out during this time, and so he would bring kind of the Matrix movie and the different scenes into it, and I just like, all of a sudden these are things that I'd always been thinking about, and it was so weird to have like an intellectual connection, because I had never intellectual anything to this point. And so all of a sudden I'm reading and I'm doing all the stuff, and it was just way cool. It just took off like that. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, Coach, to end, because I know you're also busy, and even in the middle of football season, you made time to come see us, so thank you for that. But last question, you have a captive audience of leaders from all types, whether they're leaders in the community, in their organizations and nonprofits, in the church. What is one thing you want us to leave with this afternoon?
No, I appreciate that. Let's see. One of my favorite poems is by Mary Oliver. It's In the Backwater Woods is the name of it. And at the end of the poem, she says, to live in this world, you have to do three things. One, you have to love mortal things with all your heart. Hold it against your bones, as if your life depended on it. And then the third thing was, when the time comes to let it go, let it go. And it's just very hard to do. But I think that's the thing, you know, I think to invest and to do all you can, and to right up to the last moment, this is your baby, this is your thing. And then when it comes time for it to kind of go, you got to let it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Dave Aranda. Before you leave, we want to thank you for joining us today. So this is a small token of our appreciation, and to also know that you have an entire community supporting you, backing you up, and praying for you, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for being here. We so appreciate it. Just so you guys know, we have these regularly once a month. So just be looking out for on our channels on Facebook and Instagram. They usually give you dates and have the QR codes ready for you. Coach Aranda, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you so much. Really quick, I'm just letting you guys know a little bit about what we're going to be doing for Hispanic Heritage Month. This is our first event, and so welcome. And on September 30th, which is a Saturday, we will be at the Mayborn Museum from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. We have Bombasa DFW coming, which is a Afro-American Puerto Rico band that's going to be there. They're going to be doing folklorico dancing, and we're going to have food and all kinds of fun stuff. It's free with registration, and it's open for families and friends and all the things, so come on. Then we have our next big celebration to end Hispanic Heritage Month. That'll be October 12th. It's an after hours at the Baylor Club. We will also have local artists there with music and food, so come enjoy the end of Hispanic Heritage Month with us. And then the last thing that we will all be doing at the end of the month is Dia de los Muertos, which is a wonderful parade that will be in its third year, and we are looking for sponsors, we're looking for volunteers, and we're looking for other people that want to join in the parade. It's a really fun day filled with culture and all kinds of fun. There will be food, there will be music, and there will be a lot of culture. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for coming, and we appreciate you.